In the headlines of VTV News, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc left Hanoi to attend the 26th Apec Economic Leaders Meeting. The Medical Committee Netherlands Vietnam, or MCNV, had just celebrated its 50th anniversary in Hanoi. And later on, North Korea to expel U.S. citizen for illegally entering the country.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 3 p.m. local time and you are tuning in for 30 minutes of VTV News broadcast live from Hanoi. Top news of the hour. Last night, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc left Hanoi for Papua New Guinea to attend the 26th Apec Economic Leaders Meeting at the invitation of Papua New Guinea Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. Apec 2018, which is titled Harnessing Inclusive Opportunities, Embracing the Digital Future, will be focusing on 3 activities, namely strengthening connectivity and promoting regional economic integration, promoting inclusive growth, sustainability, and accelerated growth through structural reforms. This afternoon, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc and leaders of 20 other economies will hold talks with the Apec Business Advisory Council and dialogue with the leaders of the Pacific Islands. This year marks the 20th anniversary of Vietnam's participation in Apec. Vietnam was the host of Apec 2017, and because of its success, Vietnam will continue to positively contribute to developing Apec Vision 2020. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc is attending the 26th Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC Forum in Papua New Guinea over the weekend. This event also marks 20 years of Vietnamese membership in APEC. Let's take a look at how Vietnam has contributed to the development of the Asia-Pacific region in the last 2 decades.
1 year ago, the 2017 APEC Economic Leaders Week was organized in the city of Da Nang, Vietnam. The event was considered a success by many experts, as it provided a chance for member economies to discuss urgent issues such as trade protectionism, climate change, and social inequality.
Vietnam has done a great job in organizing such an efficient and successful APEC Economic Leaders Week.
Vietnam has also contributed significantly to the forum, as well as to the development of the Asia-Pacific region for the last 20 years.
Vietnam hosted the APEC Forum for the first time in 2006 and for the second time 11 years later. The first forum set a long-term direction for Asia-Pacific's development and free trade. The second one in 2017 was held in the midst of many issues. Member economies discussed and came up with solutions for a number of problems such as human resource training in the Industrial Revolution 4.0, food safety, support policies for small and medium-sized enterprises.
It is noteworthy that half of Vietnam's 28 strategic, comprehensive, and key economic and trade partners are members of APEC. Together, they account for 75% of the country's total foreign trade and 78% of its direct investment. 14 out of 16 free trade agreement or FTAs that Vietnam has signed or is negotiating concerns 17 APEC members.
Vietnam has actively joined the APEC, contributing to the peace, stability, cooperation, and economic connectivity in the region. Vietnam has also held many positions in APEC committees and working groups.
The Asia-Pacific region has contributed a great deal to the global economy. APEC's growth has improved people's living standards and narrowed development gaps with the significant effort of member economies, including Vietnam.
Moving on to other economic news, Vietnamese banks have made good progress in reducing bad debts. The economy has experienced positive growth paired with an optimistic outlook by experts. These are important clues for Moody's upgrading a baseline credit assessments or BCAs for 12 Vietnamese banks. At the same time, Moody's has also assessed the outlook for Vietnam's banking system continues to be positive.
When it was published in August, Moody's outlook for Vietnam's banking system had been upgraded from stable to positive, reflecting improvements in asset quality, stable capitalization, and profitability among many banks. That positive trend had been maintained until this November, according to Moody's.
This is Moody's methodology. Stable doesn't mean a downgrade, but a stabilization of the existing factors, not lowering the outlook of banks. If we continue to innovate in the coming months, we will continue to be considered positive.
Of the 6 criteria taken into consideration by Moody's, the banking system in Vietnam has had 2 improved criteria: asset and non-performing loan risk and profit efficiency. The remaining 4 criteria remain stable. Moody's also appreciated improvements in asset quality management, lending activity, and the liquidity of several banks.
We will implement solutions to improve asset quality by collecting bad debts as well as controlled credit growth. We use many methods to increase the capitalizations, ensuring liquidity by introducing new ways of raising capitals, especially using digital bank and e-banking to raise capital from people and companies.
Moody's also appreciated the capital raising efforts of a number of banks and forecast that earnings will improve in the next 12 to 18 months thanks to a reduced credit burden.
Fishing vessels are now required to equip cruise control devices to be able to go offshore fishing. This is the guideline of the chairman of Cà Mau People's Committee. It's intended to prevent fishing vessels from operating illegally in foreign waters and to support the management of fishing operations and search and rescue missions at sea. Cà Mau Province has set up a control center and has authorized the provincial border guards to manage it. Only fishing vessels equipped with the cruise control device are eligible to apply for safety certificate permits or renew them. In addition, specialized inspection forces will be intensifying their patrols and coordination with border guards to handle fishing vessels that deliberately turn off their cruise control equipment. A trade fair opened on Friday in Phu Thọ Province to introduce Đoan Hùng pomelos and other agricultural specialties from the northern province. The event features 80 booths showcasing Đoan Hùng pomelos, a fruit variety that has helped hundreds of local households escape poverty, as well as other pomelo varieties, oranges and mandarins. The fair is an opportunity for localities in the province to promote their specialties, attract agricultural investments, and seek cooperation in business, trade, and tourism. In addition, this is also an opportunity for scientists to meet with farmers to fine-tune the process of high-tech production, organic production, chain production management, processing, and consumption. At the moment, Phu Thọ Province only has 1,400 hectares for growing Đoan Hùng pomelos and yields 16,000 tons per year. This output is only enough to supply 40% of the demand. However, raising the output is not an easy feat, as this pomelo variety needs the local soil to produce its distinct taste. In the following report, let's see what the local farmers have been doing to deal with the problem.
With 700 su chi dam pomelos, Hiep's family is one of the largest pomelo producers in Phuong Trung Commune. As the locality has run out of new land for cultivation, Hiep didn't plant new trees. Instead, he has been taking good care of his pomelo trees, placing traps for fruit flies and other insects, and installing an automatic watering system are just some of the things he has done to protect them.
The work isn't hard. I only need to water the trees twice a day. All I need to do is plug it in, and the watering system can take care of all 300 trees.
In Bang Luan Commune, where most of the pomelo varieties are grown, the villagers have also applied other methods to increase productivity. The hybridization of new branches into 20 to 40-year-old pomelo trees has yielded remarkable quality compared to before.
The trees are all in good condition and now yield more pomelos. They are bigger and have better quality too. It's what you get when you consistently take good care of them.
2 types of pomelos have been considered as good quality agricultural products brands. Now the Siu Chi Dam and Bang Luan pomelos from Duan Hung district receive protection from the government, which has helped farmers develop their businesses and stabilize their incomes.
Coming up next, the Medical Committee Netherlands Vietnam, or MCNV, has just celebrated its 50th anniversary in Hanoi. U.S. television channel CNN aired an episode about Hanoi through the eyes of a tour guide. Welcome back to VTV News. The diplomatic relations between Vietnam and the Netherlands have been around for more than 45 years. However, the friendship between the two nations started long before through the efforts of many individuals and non-governmental organizations who participated in anti-war and humanitarian activities in Vietnam. One of them is the Medical Committee Netherlands Vietnam, or MCNV, which has just celebrated its 50th anniversary and received the 4th Friendship Order in Hanoi.
The 50th founding anniversary of the Medical Committee Netherlands Vietnam MCNV was marked by the conferment of the 4th Friendship Order from the government of Vietnam. MCNV was established in November 1968 as a token of friendship between Vietnamese people during their war against America. MCNV is one of the oldest NGOs in Vietnam and has made great contributions to the relationship between the two countries.
The relationship between the Medical Committee, Netherlands and Vietnam, is not only a very long-lasting relationship, but I think it's also an example of the good relations that the Netherlands and Vietnam have. So MC Netherlands Vietnam, I think, is an example of how organizations in general can work together for the good of all.
MCNV missions is to implement healthcare programs, help people with disabilities integrate, support groups of women and children with HIV, enhance awareness about girl rights as well as sexual and reproductive health, and assist women in poverty reduction and adaptation to climate change.
The biggest change that the MCNV has made in Quảng Trị province is that they've changed the perception of local health services managers, as well as the local community, about healthcare, how to take care of their own health, thereby creating sustainable values.
During half a century of operation, MCNV has come to thousands of villages across Vietnam. About 100 million euros has been provided to bring about positive change for more than 2 million vulnerable people. More than 7,000 Vietnamese health workers, educators, and social workers had improved their capacity through training at home and abroad.
In another 20 years, there will be another big change. We have to adapt as MCNV, adapted to the Sustainable Development Goals of 2030. The focus of MCNV is rather broad, but I think the view on how to help communities.
Regardless of the scope, MCNV's activities always aim toward a world where everyone is supported to maximize their individual and social values.
This morning in Hanoi, the party's Central Committee commissioned a popularization and education, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, and the Vietnam Photographers Association jointly organized the photo contest on the sea and islands of Vietnam. Launched in June 2018, the contest attracted the participation of nearly 900 photographers from 60 provinces and cities across the country. Nearly 5,300 photos were sent to the competition. The works depict the beauty of nature, the people, and the armed forces of Vietnam across the country's sea and islands. Thanks to Vietnam's development and its higher status in the integration process, the demand for Vietnamese language learning in foreign countries has gotten higher. This is according to the Department of Vietnamese Studies and Language of the University of Social Sciences and Humanities at Vietnam National University, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year.
For over 50 years of development, the Department of Vietnamese Studies and Language of the University of Social Sciences and Humanities has had 15 of its former foreign students become ambassadors of their countries to Vietnam. Learning Vietnamese has played an important role in their careers.
For an ambassador, diplomat, or any foreign, knowing Vietnamese facilitates their work and contributes to the tie between the two countries. Teaching Vietnamese to foreigners is very important. The Vietnamese language has become more important, along with Vietnam's status in the integration process. The country has formed diplomatic and economic ties with many other economies.
Vietnamese has become a foundation for specializing in a number of courses in many universities around the world. Foreign students now have a higher demand for the Vietnamese language.
Language is not a tool for communication, but also a way to introduce Vietnam's culture to the world and help develop diplomatic ties between Vietnam and other nations. This is why many countries have started paying attention to the Vietnamese language, as well as to our development.
Universities in Vietnam and abroad are coming up with new ways to implement high technology and applications that can be used to teach Vietnamese.
Our development is implementing online teaching courses, which follow a scheme implemented by the government. Although the courses are still in their first phase, we believe they will become popular among foreigners.
For their contribution to the teaching of Vietnamese, the Department of Vietnamese Studies and Language of the University of Social Sciences and Humanities under the Vietnam National University was awarded the second-class labor order by the state president on November the 11th.
Lamps in the shape of conical hats or Western furnitures with Vietnamese traditional pattern. This is an example of Vietnamese traditional features in European furniture designs. Nowadays in Vietnam, a new generation of designers and furniture boutiques is arising. Originally opened to service the expat community, over time these boutiques have expanded to include Vietnamese features in their Western furniture designs to reach out to the local customers. In this week's edition of Culture Watch, we'll visit one of the first furniture shops of this kind in Hanoi and learn about the story of the founders and their collaboration with local craftsmen to combine Vietnamese traits with their modern European-style furniture.
A typical image associated with the Vietnamese people is the conical hat. Everyone in Vietnam knows what it looks like. From there, I combined a shape with bamboo and bronze pieces to create a set of standing lamps that you can use to decorate the living room or dining room, like what you are seeing here.
This unique set of conical hat standing lamps, along with a clock using Dongsan drum patterns, or a collection of decorative flat window baskets are some of the typical items found in Why Not, a small furniture boutique in Hanoi. A glance at the showroom can tell a lot about the style employed by the chief designer, a modern look with a distinctly Vietnamese style.
I was really about modern style before I come here, because all my teachers teach me that. And then I just discovered something really new for me. And then I was like, okay, I'm here in Vietnam, so should I import the modern style from Europe to Vietnam? No, because I'm located in Vietnam, so I should get the idea from here and then trying to mix with my culture.
One of the founding principles of this furniture boutique store is to manufacture products by hand. In fact, the closeness and delicacy in Why Not's contemporary furniture designs is achieved thanks to the work of the local carpenters and lacquerers living around Hanoi.
Since we have collaborated with Kian and Mary, we have been receiving frequent orders. The local carpenters have stable jobs and are earning greater income for their families. In general, the company's designs are very different from the traditional designs. Some parts are more complicated to do. Take the cupboard or table designs, for example. Traditionally, the table we were used to making has smaller legs, while these new designs require bigger legs or more details in some parts.
Speaking of skills, the Vietnamese craftsmen are just as good as any skilled craftsman around the world, but they don't have the vision foreigners have. Therefore, when we can combine the skills of the Vietnamese with the vision of foreigners, we can create amazing products.
Initially opened to serve the demands of foreigners living in Hanoi, Why Not has managed to reach out to Vietnamese customers by including local features into their products. With their cross-cultural designs, furniture boutiques like these, despite their small scale, are apt to find success in Vietnam, as the interest in modern interior design is rising among Vietnamese youths who are living in an era of global integration and cross-cultural interaction.
On their new program Street Life Hanoi, U.S. television channel CNN aired an episode about Hanoi through the eyes of a tour guide with an interesting business idea, taking visitors around the city in a sidecar. In the following, let's discover what the CNN crew and the tour guide have found out about our capital city during their sidecar ride.
This is Hanoi's Old Quarter, also known as the Ancient Quarter, or the 36 Streets. It was, and still is, the center of commerce for the city. Leading us through these winding streets, Steve Christensen, graphic designer and tour guide who has been living in the city for over 20 years. Steve isn't just any tour guide, though. To see his view of Hanoi, you ride along in a sidecar of one of his classic motorbikes, originally used for the army and police.
I think as a tourist, riding along in the Euro sidecar is quite fascinating because you get a chance to see everything. Taking it by and looking up at the buildings and seeing history go by.
To say there is a little history in the streets of the old quarters would be an understatement.
The city was founded 1,000 years ago. But even the old quarter has been around longer than that. Each street is connected with a product, and each product is connected with a village. So this is kind of their retail end.
To this day, you can still wander around many of those streets and find the same goods that were sold decades ago. Some, of course, slightly updated for today's consumers.
Well, here we are on Hang Ma Street. This is the street where you come in throughout the year. There's different festivals and celebrations where you would make offerings to your ancestors or your parents and your grandparents. And people would sell paper representations of what's luxuries in the afterlife. I find that the old quarter in Hanoi is really the heart of the city. There's so many people, and they're in everyday activities of their lives. You look down one street, you see people eating. You smell the food. You can hear the sounds of commerce.
proving that the more the streets of Hanoi's Old Quarter change, the more they stay the same.
Coming up next in our world news, North Korea to expel U.S. citizen for illegally entering the country. And later on, Malaysian police arrested 8 terror suspects in recent anti-terror swoops. According to Pyongyang's official Korean Central News Agency on Friday, North Korea decided to expel a U.S. citizen who illegally entered this country last month. The man, identified as Lawrence Bruce Byron, had been in custody after crossing into North Korea from China on October the 16th. While being questioned, he said he had illegally entered the country under the command of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. The KCNA did not mention when he will be deported. Last month, North Korea released a South Korean citizen detained in July after crossing the border into the north. Malaysian police said on Friday that 8 terror suspects had been arrested in recent anti-terror swoops conducted between October the 30th and November the 12th in Putrajaya and Sabah. The suspects include 7 Filipinos and 1 Malaysian. One of Filipino suspects recruited children to join Islamic terrorist group Abu Sayyaf and used them as human shields during fighting with the Philippine military. Meanwhile, the Malaysian suspect was involved in fundraising for terrorist groups through the sale of gold bars since last year. British Prime Minister Theresa May appointed Stephen Buckley, a junior health minister who voted to leave the European Union in a 2016 referendum, as her new Brexit secretary on Friday. He becomes the 3rd person to hold the job overseeing Britain's withdrawal from the European Union, after his 2 predecessors, Dominic Raab and David Davies, both resigned in protest at Prime Minister May's approach to Brexit. Her mini reshuffle came as she prepared to fight a leadership election, which could come early next week. On November the 15th, 4 ministers resigned over May's draft Brexit deal. Now let's take a look at the weather update. And that's it for our VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, please log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go. Goodbye for now.